Imagine this. One second I was driving through the pouring rain, exhausted after another double shift. The next second, I slammed straight into the back of the most expensive car in the entire city. 10 minutes later, the owner already knew my full name, where I lived, how much debt I had, and that my mother was dying in hospital room 412. Then he looked me dead in the eyes and said in a voice colder than the rain, "Marry me for 30 days, or I let her die without the next treatment." My name is Sophia Bennett. I'm 24 years old. I'm just an ordinary waitress trying to keep my mom alive. Life has never been kind to me. Every day I work long hours in a small, noisy cafe. My feet hurt, my hands smell like coffee and grease, but I keep going because my mother's cancer treatment is the only thing that matters. The bills are crushing us. That night I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open. The streets were wet and slippery, and I didn't see the black Maybach parked in the shadows until it was too late. My old, beat-up Opel crashed into its rear bumper with a loud, sickening crunch that echoed through the dark street. The door of the luxury car opened slowly. Out stepped Alexander Voss, tall, terrifying, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit that probably cost more than my entire apartment. His dark hair was untouched by the rain, and his icy blue eyes looked at me like I was nothing more than an annoying problem he needed to solve. He didn't yell. He didn't even look angry. He just stood there, calm and dangerous. "Do you have any idea what you just did?" His voice was low and controlled, but it sent ice down my spine. I was shaking, soaked from head to toe. "I'm so sorry. I didn't see you. I'll pay somehow, please." He smirked, a cold, emotionless smile. "You won't. But I already know everything about you, Sophia Bennett. I know you work at Cafe Sunrise. I know your mother is fighting stage 3 cancer in St. Mary's Hospital. I know the next chemo session is in 3 days, and you're 2 payments behind. I know exactly how desperate you are." He held up his phone and showed me a clear photo of my mother sleeping in her hospital bed, taken just hours earlier. My stomach dropped. How did he know all this? 30 days, he continued flatly.
I have a plan.
You become my wife on paper. You move into my penthouse
We need to
tonight.
keep moving.
You attend every event with me. You smile. You obey every single rule I set. And you play the perfect, loving wife in front of the cameras.
You will do exactly
In
as I
return,
say.
I pay every hospital bill in full today and wire $5 million to your account the day the contract ends. Refuse, and I walk away. Your mother gets nothing. No treatment, no more chances. Tears burned in my eyes. I wanted to scream, to run, to tell him to go to hell. But my mother's face flashed in my mind. Her weak smile, her hand holding mine. I had no choice. My voice barely came out in a whisper. "I'll do it. I'll sign." The next morning, I stood inside his penthouse on the 35th floor of the tallest skyscraper in the city. The place was breathtaking and terrifying at the same time. Floor-to-ceiling windows showing the entire skyline. Marble floors so shiny I could see my reflection. Expensive art on the walls, and complete silence. It felt like a luxurious prison. I was still wearing my old jeans and sweater, feeling completely out of place. Alexander threw a thick folder on the glass table. "New rules, and they are non-negotiable. You do not leave the penthouse without my permission. Your old phone stays here. I will give you a new one. You wear only the clothes I choose. You speak only when I tell you to. You never ask questions about my business or my past. Break even one rule, and the entire deal is canceled. Your mother's treatment stops immediately. Understood?" I nodded, but inside I was boiling with anger and fear. Understood. The first week was pure hell. He controlled every second of my life. When I tried to call the hospital from my old phone on the second day, he snatched it from my hand and crushed it under his expensive shoe right in front of me. I said no. His voice was ice. At the huge corporate gala on the third night, the room was full of crystal chandeliers and powerful people. Alexander introduced me as his wife. His hand on my waist felt like a steel grip. When one rich investor smiled at me too long and made a flirty comment,
Sophia.
Alexander's eyes turned
exactly
murderous.
Tonight.
Later in the car, he grabbed my chin hard enough to make me flinch. "You smiled at him for 3 seconds too long. Do that again, and I'll make sure your mother's next treatment gets delayed by a week." I was terrified, but I was also starting to hate him with every cell in my body. On day 9, I couldn't take it anymore. While he was in a long meeting, I packed my small bag and left a short note. "I can't do this anymore." I ran to the hospital to see my mom. Alexander found me in the lobby 2 hours later. His face was dark with rage. "You walked out. The contract is almost broken. Your mother loses everything if you leave now. Is that what you want, Sophia?" I started crying right there in front of him. "I hate you. I hate everything about this." He stared at me for a long, heavy second. Something shifted in his cold eyes. Not kindness, but surprise, maybe even respect. "Good," he said quietly. "Hate keeps you alive in my world." That night, I couldn't sleep. I went out to the huge balcony. The city lights sparkled below like diamonds. Alexander was already there, standing alone with a glass of whiskey. The air felt different. "Why me?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Why did you choose me out of everyone?" He was silent for a very long time. Then he told me the truth. "I didn't crash into you by accident, Sophia. I've been watching you for 3 weeks. I needed someone real, someone the press and my board would believe. My ex-wife is trying to destroy my company and take everything. I needed a wife who looks like she actually loves me. You were perfect, desperate, beautiful, and broken, just like me." I felt sick to my stomach. "So none of this was random? You planned all of it?" "No, but the way you fight me every single day, that part wasn't in my plan." For the next 2 weeks, we fought constantly. I broke small rules on purpose just to see him angry. He threatened me, but then, strangely, he started protecting me in public. When a reporter asked me a cruel question at another event and I almost broke down, Alexander stepped in front of me like a shield and destroyed the reporter with a few cold words. The man actually stepped back in fear. Little by little, I saw tiny cracks in his ice wall. He started asking about my mother. One evening, he even let me cook pasta in his perfect kitchen and laughed, a real laugh, when I burned the sauce. "You're not perfect," he said, and for some reason, I like that. But I kept telling myself every single night, "This is fake. Don't you dare fall for him." 3 days before the contract was supposed to end, I overheard him on the phone again. His voice was cold and businesslike. "Cancel the rest of her mother's payments. The deal is almost over. She'll get her $5 million and disappear."
Finalize it tonight.
My heart shattered completely. I left that same night in the pouring rain. No note, no goodbye, just my small bag and tears streaming down my face. I walked for hours, completely soaked, thinking it was all over. 2 weeks later, I was back at the cafe, working double shifts again. Mom was stable, thanks to the payments he had already made, but the future looked dark and scary. Then one quiet evening, the cafe door opened. Alexander walked in. No expensive suit, just a simple black coat, looking like he hadn't slept in days. The whole place went silent. He stopped right in front of the counter where I was standing. His voice was rough and tired. "I tore up the contract the day you left. I paid for your mother's treatment for the next 2 full years anyway, no strings attached." I stared at him, completely stunned. Why would you do that?" He swallowed hard, looking more vulnerable than I had ever seen him. "Because the moment you walked out into that rain, I realized something I never expected. I didn't want a fake wife anymore. I didn't want the contract. I wanted you, the real you, the one who hates me, the one who fights me,
Sophia, but you
the
have
one
to
who
listen to
called
me.
me an ice king on the balcony that night.
Alexander? After
I've been in love
everything.
with you since then, and I was too much of a coward, too broken, to admit it until I lost you." The cafe was completely silent. Everyone was watching. I didn't move. "You lied to me. You used me. You made me feel like a prisoner." "I know,
Look at
and
me,
I'm
Sophia.
sorrier than
I
you
am
can
so
imagine.
sorry.
If you tell me to leave right now, I will walk
Sorry
out
doesn't
that
fix
door
what you
and
broke,
never come
Alexander.
back. But if there's even the smallest chance that somewhere between all the fights and the fear, you felt something real too, I'm standing here with nothing. No contract, no money, no power. Just a man who is terrified of losing the only woman who ever made him feel alive." 10 long, painful seconds passed. Then I slowly stepped around the counter. My hands were shaking. I looked straight into those icy blue eyes that had scared me so much in the beginning. "I still hate you a little bit," I whispered. A small, broken, but real smile appeared on his face for the first time. "I'll take it." He didn't kiss me dramatically in the rain. He just waited. And for the first time, I chose him. Not because of money, not because of fear, not because of the contract, but because somewhere deep down, between the hatred and the fights, I had fallen in love with him, too. We didn't get married the next month. We got married 6 months later in a small, quiet ceremony with only the people who truly mattered. No cameras, no contracts, just us. And that original contract? I burned it myself on our balcony while he watched. But sometimes, when it rains outside, he still pulls me close, kisses my forehead, and whispers, "Thank you for crashing into my car and for never letting me stay cold."